Bryan Fischer is going to cue us in on what one of the goals of the religious right is that they don't ever really talk about, but believe you me, they're all on this page. Listen.
I will be honest with you. I'm absolutely fine with a 15-year incarceration for the crime of adultery. It is a crime. It destroys people's lives. It destroys families. It breaks up civilizations. You want to lock them up for 15 years? I have zero problem with that whatsoever.
He wants to lock up cheaters, lock up people who commit adultery. I mean, 15 years? God, that's insanity. Nobody would be left. Who would be left to run the country? I mean, what percentage of Congress people do you think have had affairs or are having affairs? That number's got to be off the charts, man. That number is astronomical. I mean, just look at the numbers for society overall. I mean, what is it? 50% of marriages end in divorce, roughly? And of that 50% that end in divorce, how many were for cheating? Half of those, maybe? So 25% of the population of the divorced people cheating. And then never mind the people that are cheating that are still together. I mean, we're talking about, at the very least, and I'm being incredibly conservative here, 30% of the American people, you know, of the married couples, some sort of have at some point had some sort of extramarital affair. And yeah, lock all them up for 15 years. Who would be left to run the country? We already have jails that are more packed than any other country in the world by far. We have more people in jail in the United States than Stalin did in his gulags at their height. How's that for an insane fact? And it's mostly because of the drug war. But now he wants to... you want to talk about a war on families? There's your war on families right there. I mean, just a war on the population in general. You want to lock people up for their personal issues? That's none of the government's business, man. That is none of the government's business. If you have problems with your wife or your husband or in your relationship, the fact that he thinks it's cool for the government to say, well, we're going to lock your ass up and not your ass. And by the way, how do you even define cheating? Is it just for sex specifically? Does a blowjob count? Does a hand job count? Because there's a lot of massage parlors around the country that are giving hand jobs left and right. You know, does emotionally cheating count? Are there not a lot of men and women that are emotionally cheating on their spouse with somebody at work, for example, but never done anything physical? Does that count? I mean, what are we talking about here? What we're talking about is the biggest government imaginable. You know, the fact that Bryan Fischer is one of these guys who considers himself a conservative Republican and he believes in small government. Yeah, he believes in small government unless we're talking about throwing you in jail for 15 years for personal issues. I mean, what a joke that is. And then never mind, he would lock people up for being gay. He's spoken in support of these laws overseas that do that, you know. He's one of these guys. He would never want to legalize drugs. That's also big government, to be in favor of the government locking people up for drugs, in favor of locking people up or having gambling continue to be illegal. Like, this guy, he doesn't believe in small government. What he is a theocratic fascist, a Christian theocrat. And basically what that means is, I want to be the dictator. I want to make all the decisions myself. I want to tell you how you can and cannot live your life. And I'm going to pretend like I'm doing it by implementing the Bible because I think that's the supreme law. But in reality, he doesn't even know what's in the Bible. So it would just be him making things up, going off of his own visceral gut opinion on different things. And it would be the worst country in the world you could ever live in. Nobody would want to live there, even people who are hardcore Christians.